Good thing. There we go. Hey, welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight on Twitter. You follow me, I'll follow you back. Tonight, we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals, who is the next team that Tampa will be facing. But, it's an exciting time to be a Bucs fan. I know we had that loss to the New England Patriots, winnable game, but hey, next team up. And tonight, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. No Days Off himself, Michael Pless. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, Gene. Thanks again for having me on. And this is it just feels like the Bucs haven't played forever. So it feels like it's been a long time since the game. I know we played last Thursday, but I'm ready for Sunday. I think this team is too. I think it's I think of a good run, and the team has to go on a run. So I think it's definitely time for one of those 5-game winning streaks.
Yeah, and I am just so excited, man, to get TJ Ward, Keith Tandy, Quan Alexander, and Levante David all back at the same time. I mean, that's just gonna. I mean, you shooting life back into that defense, which they did a good job last week. I thought against Tom Brady. So you're just adding more to it, and that's something to be excited about. Your thoughts?
No, I completely agree. I thought, and I thought the defense has played really well for the most part over these, first 4 games. And really, it's exciting to see because now the defense can even do more things now with all their pieces in place. You're going to be able to be more versatile. You're going to be able to see Kendall Beckwith at his more natural position, which is Sam linebacker. And I would expect them to present some 3-4 looks as far as, with their linebacking core and just the strengths that it's going to present, especially with Quan back, and just the swagger and energy that he brings. And then Levante with his ability, and he was playing so well, before the injury. So hopefully he can pick up where he left off. And the sky's the limit. And now with TJ Ward coming back, and hopefully he's got a bigger grasp of this defense, I think that's going to help. Especially with his run defense capabilities. I think that's going to make us even more deadly. And the way Justin Evans stepped up last game was very impressive. So,
who saw that coming?
Definitely not us. Definitely not us. Definitely not us at Real Bucs Talk. We are not #1 fans of Justin Evans at all. And he really surprised us. And I'm happy that he is kind of taking the similar approach that Kendall Beckwith is. And
do you think I'm going to have to add him to the apology tour that I'm the Kendall Beckwith apology tour that I'm on this year?
Well, us at Real Bucs Talk are definitely going to have to write him a letter of apology because we were not fans one bit, and we pretty much let him have it. And but we were very excited that he comes out, makes a big interception to start off the game, and was really aggressive and made some nice tackles. And again, he's still learning, but he looked really good. Definitely improvement from where he was in college, and what NFL coaching can do as far as.
Just imagine, just think about this. Your first game in the NFL, and you're starting your first starting game, and you get a pick on Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's a great way to start a career. So he's already in the record books, pretty much. So, this defense, I think it's just going to get stronger now with all the pieces, and you can do so much. I think the pass rush is close. We're just missing by inches here. It's just technique. I think once they get everything down with their chemistry and how they want to rush and really design that plan, I think they'll be fine. But you saw the push up the middle last week, which was good. I thought Clint McDonald had a good game, and Gerald McCoy, as always, is dominating. Chris Baker showed up as well. But now with the linebackers back in place, I think you're going to see more blitzing and more effective pass rush from all sides. So that's good.
Yeah, and again, that's something to really be excited about because you just saw a glimpse of what this team is capable of doing. And I'm watching Carson Palmer, and when Carson Palmer gets hit a few times, that's pretty much it. He's rattled the rest of the game. That's one thing that I noticed about him in Detroit was he wasn't as accurate as he has been in past games. Another thing to look at, with Carson Palmer, he's not a mobile quarterback. So, again, that plays right into you have Quan Alexander back and you have Levante David, and we've seen what Kendall Beckwith can do. It's just, everybody's got to play their position, and I really hope they can get this pass rush going because that's definitely going to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. And but yeah, I mean, that's exciting for the defense, but I mean, I think we got to focus on the offense, which was pretty much the reason why we let this game slip away against the Patriots. I mean, it was really there for us to take, and it was just a game of missed opportunities. Jameis was just off, for most of the game, and just really couldn't find any rhythm. We were running the ball good. For some reason, we went away from it. I don't know why, but that happened again. But I thought the offensive line as a whole played good. They've been one of our strongest units. But again, it's coming down to just Jameis and his decision making as far as where to go with the ball. There were some drop passes. I thought Cameron Brate, struggled. He didn't have his best game. But I think it just goes back to play calling and getting off of this idea of, we got to hit the deep play, we got to hit the big play, all the time. I think we need to get back to focusing on that, just focus on first downs and move the chains, set up and get what the defense is giving you. Yeah. Take that 5 to 7 yards because they're open. I mean, there's options.
And folks, we on Buck What You Heard and even Real Bucks Talk, we don't go out trashing players, okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say this. There were a lot of missed opportunities for touchdowns in that game. I don't want to put this all on the kicker. I know the kicker's job is to go out there and kick the ball. And that's the only job he has. He didn't have to block. He doesn't have to, he didn't have to do too much of anything, but just go out and kick the ball. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if your kicker is suspect, why are you don't want to put the ball in the kicker's hands, or you don't want to put it on him to make that kick. So I understand the kicker was horrible and he's out of here pretty much. But at the end of the day, there were opportunities for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to score in the red zone. And I've heard some people complain, why are you complaining about the red zone? It's cases like this where games can be won in the red zone. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, anytime that Tampa was in the red zone in that Patriots game and they walked away where they had to try to attempt a field goal instead of getting 7, it just puts you in a totally different it puts the game in a different realm, so to speak.
Right. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I thought the game was pretty much, it was pretty much lost early in the game. I thought, the Bucs had a great opportunity to really take hold of this game and take control. You get the early interception, and the Bucs offense moves the ball a little bit, but then we try to throw a deep pass to Charles Sims down the sideline. We miss. 3rd and long, we try to throw to Mike Evans, inaccurate pass. So then we punt, and then same thing. The Bucs defense gets a stop. We get the ball back. Running the ball was success. We throw a little short pass to Doug Martin, and the ball is just completely missed. I mean, Doug Martin missed it too. Jameis could have done a better job of just putting it right on him. But again, it missed opportunities. And then late in the game, Cameron Brate drops a touchdown. Missed opportunities, again. There's just too many 3-and-outs for my liking. We have to focus on sustaining drives and really go for first downs. I mean, just take what the defense gives you. Especially against a zone defense where guys are backing off, you have options underneath. And for whatever reason, Jameis was just way too locked in on going to Deshaun Jackson down the field. And that was another play. I mean, he missed Deshaun Jackson down the sideline. That would have been a touchdown. So it's just there's plays to be made. And, again, it's up to the quarterback to make those plays. So he's got to make them if they're there. And it's not saying Dirk Cutter's calling a bad game. I don't think he is, because the plays are working. They are there. We just have to go out there and execute. But again, I think he needs to get back to a balanced game plan where we're running the ball effectively, using that play action, and even use a more simpler route tree as far as giving Jameis less options to look at, and just give him one or two options and get him back into the mindset of going, hey, 1, 2, get rid of the ball, and let's keep it moving.
Yeah. And for me, I expected more from the run, you know, and again, folks, we're not bashing the team. The loss is, you know, it's a loss. We're recapping the game right now, and we'll get on to the Cardinals game. But what I do want to say is this team works well when they're running the ball. It's just what it is. Do you remember the game last year against Carolina when they were running the ball and they got over 100 yards and they won the game? I don't care what defense you got. If you got a team that's running the ball effectively, it opens up the playbook to so many other things. And that's what the problem was. When you limit yourself and when you get away from the run, you've become one-dimensional. And it makes it a little bit easier for the defensive coordinator to scheme because, hey, they're not running the ball, so let's focus on this right here. My problem with all that is, you know, you have to get the run in there somewhere. I understand, you know, Jacquizz Rodgers is not getting yards, but at least, you know, put forth a little bit of effort to run the ball. I mean, you can't 1 through 3 pass the ball. You know, it just, you know, only on Madden does that work.
Yeah, I think the Bucs had one possession where they were backed up in their, I think it was right before the half. I think they were backed up and they had 3 straight passes and they had a punt. I think the Patriots got the ball back. They had a big return, and then there's a penalty. They ended up scoring, I think, a field goal, 7 right before the half. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you just can't have that. You have to be smart with not only clock management but knowing situations. And I know you're trying to be aggressive there. And again, the plays are there to be made. It just comes down to execution. But I think in certain times you just have to force your will and run the football a little bit. You know, in those situations.
Yeah, and let me get this question in here. Eric Moreno is asking: do you think Levante David and Quan Alexander are going to play on Sunday?
Yeah, I think they're going to be back. I know they were limited today, but I think you know, as time goes on, I think tomorrow they'll probably be either upgraded to full participation or at least by Friday, and I think they'll give it a go. You could see a rotation as far as, you know, both guys, just because it's their first game back in a while. But I think for the most part, they're going to be out there.
Yeah, all right. And then, you know, it's going to be really good to see TJ Ward. That's definitely going to shore up the, you know, the secondary. I'm excited to see him, you know, at 100% healthy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think Ward is definitely a guy that can make an impact, and I think by now he'll have a pretty good understanding of what he's being asked to do in the defense. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they play out the rotation with the safeties. I think you're going to still see that 3-man rotation where they, you know, mix guys in. You know, maybe even move Justin Evans to the slot if they want a bigger guy down there. Just to play some man coverage. But, yeah, I mean, it'll be good to see him. But, yeah, I mean, all the guys, just having those guys back is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, most definitely. And again, you know, we were talking about the Patriots game. I do want to, you know, really dive into the Cardinals game. But before we get there, I want to get your final recap on the Patriots game, and then I'll chime in with mine after you finish.
Yeah, you know, overall, I think it was just a game that got away from us. I thought we could have really won the game. I think the Patriots were pretty much giving the game away to us, and we just couldn't take advantage of our opportunities. Just too many mishaps, you know, offensively. Kicking game didn't help us at all. You know, missed kicks kind of puts a flat tire in your sails, but but still, you had chances to overcome that. And again, it's about scoring touchdowns, not settling for field goals. But yeah, I mean, we're 2-2 now, and we got to move on. You know, it's time to.
Yeah, most definitely. This right here, and I'm gonna jump in here. You know, this was a winnable game. I felt like this was a winnable game even before, you know, the Bucs got on the field. However, you know, it comes down to execution. And, you know, as I mentioned before, with, you know, with Folk, all he has to do is go out there, line it up, and put it through the uprights. You know, he had multiple opportunities, and it just didn't happen. Okay? So, again, if you can't do it, you need to get somebody else in who can. Enter Patrick Murray, former Buck, who, you know, he's bounced around the league. It's kind of good to have him. But I'll talk more about him as we talk about the Cardinals game. You know, just on this Patriots game, the fact that we have a rookie safety that was able to get an interception on Tom Brady. They were able to limit Tom Brady on what he could do. And, you know, the Bucs were in this game from first quarter to fourth quarter. It wasn't like, you know, the Bucs were getting blown out. So to me, it's still, the team is still growing. And, you know, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse, but it is what it is. They're growing. And, you know, there are things that they could have done different. And I'm just kind of raising my expectations that we don't see the same things that we saw in this last game or some of the other mistakes that we see moving forward. And that's, right. You know, that's my thing. I'm not going to hold this against anybody. You know, the game's over. It's in the past, and we're moving forward to the next game. But there were opportunities, as you mentioned, where the Bucs could have done what they normally do. A very uncharacteristic game for Cameron Brate. I expect him to bounce back. Fantasy guys, you know, I'm serious. If you get it, if you don't have him and he's there available, pick him up, because I'm telling you, he's going to have a bounce back game against the Arizona Cardinals. You know, just based on what I've seen from the Cardinals defense, I think that it would be to your benefit to do that. So, you know, overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers should have won that game. They didn't win it. Hopefully they've learned from their mistakes. And what we're going to do, we're going to ease on over to the Arizona Cardinals. So, Michael Pless, I'm going to start with you. We're going to start with offense. And for all of, hey, Maddie, how you doing? Maddie SOP, how you doing tonight? For anybody, we're going to start talking about the Cardinals offense. And I'm going to start with Michael Pless, our resident expert. He's the offensive coordinator at Buck What You Heard. And I'm going to get his thoughts on the offense of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, you know, Carson Palmer, I think, leads, you know, starts it all. I mean, it starts with him. They have a very prolific passing attack. I think they're second in the league, right behind the Patriots. So, great test again. He just not very mobile, like you said earlier. He's not going to move. He's not going to run, you know, for first downs or anything like that nature. But he's very good within the pocket. He knows how to escape sacks. He knows how to slide his feet, and he knows how to get rid of the football. I think since the Cardinals' offensive line is not very good, it is very suspect. They do allow a lot of hits, a lot of sacks. But Carson Palmer knows that, so he gets rid of the ball very quickly. He knows how to put the ball, you know, out there before receivers break, and very accurately on the money. And they what their offense, you know, revolves around is just setting up explosives, throw the ball downfield, and they got the receivers to go get it. So I think defensively for us, it's going to be up to us not to allow the big play and try to get some heat on Carson Palmer. Hopefully, but their offense is good, and now they have Adrian Peterson. So, but I don't think that's going to be a big factor. Again, I think their offense line is not very good. I think they're going to still struggle to run the football, even with him back there. Him back there kind of limits their offense, just because, you know, once he's in there, it's either going to be a run or some type of quick pass, because he's not going to be in there to pass protect.
Well, you know, based on what he did, I don't And see, I'm not real sure. I'd
And
probably have
also Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald. You can't forget about him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're talking about, and a lot of people are, chiming in about Adrian Peterson. Um, I don't know about Adrian Peterson, to be honest. What you saw with the Saints, Adrian Peterson didn't scratch. He was a third stringer basically, and I don't know if it was his attitude or the fact that these guys outplayed him, and he was just the third stringer. So to that point, I'm not sure. Now, when you talk about the offensive line, that has been a huge gripe in Arizona. I can tell you, just listening to the media, the local media, they get frustrated with the offensive line. And, I don't care who you have running the ball. You got Barry Sanders back there. If you're not opening up holes with as fast as these linebackers are that Tampa has, Gerald McCoy, Chris Baker, players like that, and you're trying to run it up the middle, I just don't see it happening. So, to me, when I hear about Adrian Peterson, he's a lot to prove, coming off injury, and, he hasn't done anything in 2017 to put fear in your heart. So, that's going to be on him. And I was just listening to the interview with this guy, and he's pretty much said that he's going to meet and exceed Arizona Cardinal fans' expectations. So in his mind, this is what he's going to come out and do is run wild on the Bucs defense. So we'll see how that all works out for him. But again, he has done nothing to lead you to believe that he's going to really do anything. In your thoughts?
Right. No, I David Johnson. I think just because that guy is elite talent.
That guy is a freak.
As far as his ability to just create on his own, shows how much the Cardinals miss him, because the line wasn't very good when he was healthy, and he still produced yardage just because of his ability to make guys miss and pick yards up after contact. It's kind of very similar to how Doug Martin is. I mean, Doug Martin didn't have the best blocking in front of him, the last couple of years, especially, offensive production years. But he makes guys miss, and he makes things happen after contact, and that's what makes them pick up so many yards. Now, the thing with Adrian Peterson is, though, his game is just too predictable. When he's in, he's going to be getting the football either on a run or some type of running play. He just doesn't have the quickness that he used to have. Again, he doesn't have the ability to create on his own. Again, he just doesn't have what he used to have as far as his power and speed combination. And again, if he doesn't have the hole right there, and if it's not glaring to him, he's either going to just run into the pile and not pick up very much, because he just can't create on his own like he used to. He just doesn't have that ability. It's kind of sad, but it is what it is, and I think he hampers the offense. I mean, he can't really pass protect. He's not a good pass catcher, so I mean, you really can't keep him in on 3 downs.
You know what's very interesting about this? When they brought Chris Johnson in, Chris Johnson reminds me of what we're talking about with Adrian Peterson. And Chris Johnson had lost a step when he was hitting the hole. He had good plays in spurts. In certain games, he had good plays against certain defense, but there was nothing consistent. And if I remember correctly, on that, the last time the Bucs played the Vikings with AP, they did pretty good against AP. Right. Now, what you're looking at is a faster linebackers. He's not outrunning these linebackers. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. If he gets past the defensive line, he's not outrunning these linebackers. I'm going to go right here, right now, on here, and tell you he's not. It's not going to happen. And I understand what the Saints did. I think the Saints made out on this deal, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the Saints had better running backs in front of them, and that's why he wasn't playing very much. You just can't sit a guy like Alvin Kamara who can
exactly. And he's young.
Yeah, he's young. They just drafted him. Mark Ingram is no slouch. He gets disrespected, in my opinion. Two guys are much better running backs right now, and they can play all three downs. They can pass protect. They can catch the football, and they're just a better fit in the offense. I don't understand why Peterson went there. I think it was just for the reason that Minnesota was first on schedule.
I think it was despite the NFC South is why they picked up Adrian Peterson, personally.
Probably. Yeah, you're probably right.
And this is why they always have salary cap issues on top of that. What is it?
I didn't buy that.
What was it? $2.4 million for all the games that Adrian Peterson has played with the Saints. And to me, come on, that's what general manager would do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I didn't buy the hype about him coming to the Bucs. I didn't see that happening. Again, he's just a guy that it hinders your offense because way too predictable. Now, again, he can still be a good decoy as far as the play action pass, but it's just not much else. Unless you have a dominant offensive line where the Cowboys offensive line, I could see something maybe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because but yeah, he's just not the player he used to be. He's too many injuries to that knee has really cost him, and
yeah, he's lost his burst. I mean, in the limited times that we've seen him for the Saints, he just hasn't been able to do anything. And I do realize that he's one of those guys that you have to feed him the ball continually before he gets up and running. But again, I just haven't seen that burst that we were used to seeing from a former MVP, Adrian Peterson. I just don't see it. Eric Moreno makes an interesting point. I think he would have been a better fit for like the Raiders or somebody like that. But when you have a suspect offensive line like the Cardinals do, I just don't see how he can really get going.
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned it before, like Ingram and the other running back, I can't think of his name. Yeah, he's able to make plays. He's able to manufacture plays, whereas Adrian Peterson, he needs that hold, so he's able to hit that hole.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And and again, he just doesn't have it. He hasn't really developed himself as all three levels. He struggles catching the football. He still has fumble issues. Pass protection is still suspect. So again, it's tough to get on the field when you're not a 3-down back in this league just because of the passing game that is required from all the teams. And it's tough. I didn't see the fit for the Saints. And as far as the Cardinals, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to help at all either because
you know what? I'm seeing the same thing with the Cardinals. Yeah, I just am.
Exactly.
I mean, with David Johnson, that guy was dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to hit the hole the way he did was, it was just freakish the way he was able to do it. And when you don't have that, you have a guy that you need to create space for him. Excuse me. You need to create space for him in order to hit that hole. I mean, it's a totally different game. And I just, I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Everybody's proving me wrong. Kendall Beckwith, again, I'm sorry, Kendall Beckwith. This is the Kendall Beckwith apology tour, and I do want to take this time to apologize to him. I was wrong about him. But, let's get back to what we were talking about. This guy, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can shift to their defense now. Which is interesting. I mean, their defense, as far as what they bring to the table, they definitely blitz a lot. As far as the Cardinals do, they definitely have the personnel. Their defensive line is headlined by Chandler Jones, who is a ferocious pass rusher. So the Bucs have to make sure they have two guys on him at all times to keep him locked up. They did lose Marcus Golden, who was their other pass rusher. He's out for the season, so that definitely hurts. As far as the linebacking core, it's suspect. I mean, they have speed, but they're very small. Deion Buchanan is only about 6 foot, 200 pounds. And then they also have Carlos Dansby, he's suspect as well. I mean, he's just getting up there in age. He's just not as fast as he used
that's
to
the
be.
one thing that I've noticed about him is he's lost like a step or three, and I really I don't know, but I think it's more or less about like the and Julius Peppers. I don't want to put him in the same realm, but Julius Peppers came back to Carolina. You see Carlos Dansby coming back to Arizona. And I see that the fans love him, and he's part of Arizona, so I totally get that. But again, as far as making plays and stuff like that, I just don't see it.
Yeah, and then I mean they brought in Hassan Reddick, who's their rookie linebacker, and he's shown promise. Again, they use him mostly as a blitzer. I mean, he's very effective as far as finding ways to disrupt, very quick, athletic. And then they're really highlighted by their secondary. I mean, their secondary pretty much runs the defense as far as their playmakers go. Leading tackler is Trayvon Branch, who I think leads them with 49 tackles, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But again, you don't want that as a defense. You don't want your safety to lead you in tackles, so that's not necessarily a good thing. And then they have Tyrann Mathieu, who the Honey Badger.
You know what? What's really interesting about this story, and I because I love the GM. I've heard the GM has gotten a lot of grief about the kickers or whatever, and I'm not going down that route because of what he's done with his team. What I will say is, he was part of the vetting process to bring Tyrann Mathieu to Arizona. I don't know if people know this or not, but and that's why I say when you talk about character issues, this guy, he's on top of it. When they brought Jameis Winston in to Tampa, I could remember that, hey, he was part of the vetting process for Tyrann Mathieu. And Tyrann Mathieu, despite what you heard from him or saw about him in college, what he's been able to do as a pro player in the community here in Arizona has been just amazing. So, again, hats off to Jason Light for his part in all that. And again, I can't help but just love this GM. But I had to throw that in there. So I'll let you get back to what you were saying. But I had to throw that in there about our GM.
No, it's all good. And then Patrick Peterson, of course. I mean, he's their stud corner. The guy's very good in man-to-man. Knows how to make plays, and really can get into a rhythm if you allow him to. So, Jameis has to be careful as far as when to test him. But then I think on the other side of the coin, you have Justin Bethel, who is decent, but again, he's a guy that gets picked on. He's suspect as far as coverage goes. Decent run defender, but a guy that I think the Bucs will look to attack. Similar things with as far as their defensive style goes. They play very similar to Minnesota. As far as they like to play that press man coverage, they like to get into the box, load up the box, and kind of send blitzes. So, and they do a good job of disguising their blitzes with zone coverages, zone fire blitzes. So it's a lot of different things that Jameis has to be aware of as far as protection goes. I think that's going to be the critical point for this offense as far as just making sure Jameis has time. And again, you can counteract that with run plays, with draws, screens, stuff like that, short passes. Yeah, their defensive personnel is very aggressive. They have aggressive mindset. I think you're going to see them kind of follow New England's game plan, where they throw a lot of zone as well, because Jameis did struggle with the zone coverage.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, we talked about this last year. I don't know if you remember this, but we were both saying don't throw towards Patrick Peters. Don't throw towards Patrick. And what happened?
They threw it to him.
but I promise you, and I'm looking at I'm looking through the chat right here. I can promise you, this is not last year. This is this year, and that defensive coordinator right now is trying to figure out what he's going to do. The one thing I did notice about the Cardinals defense was they had problems with the tight ends. They had problems last week with the tight ends, and I'm not sure what it was, but just for some reason the tight ends which I believe Tampa, and I'm not saying this because I'm a homer, but I do believe that Tampa has superior tight ends to what Detroit had last week.
Mm-hmm.
And, for whatever reason, the Cardinals were struggling against the tight ends. So I think that could be huge. And I expect Cameron Brate to have a bounce back game from what he did, not taking anything away from what he did last week, but we know, me and you've seen him, tape don't lie. Cameron Brate he had some serious games against defenses, and I expect that as we move forward as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like I was saying earlier, I mean, their defense just likes to really create, pressure on the quarterback. I mean, that's what they're about. They find different ways to, take advantage of mismatches with the offensive line that they're going up against. And pretty much every play, they're bringing at least 5 guys, 5 or more. So I think it's going to be critical for the Bucs offensive line and our protection schemes to make sure they're up to task, making sure we have those picked up. But again, it starts with Jameis just getting rid of the ball quicker, nice and decisive. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting just to see how they play it. Now, typically they are a more man coverage team, so it's up to our guys to win their battles. And I think what we have to do is just be smart. Like I said, Jameis has to be smart with the football. Yeah, you can go to Mike Evans, but make sure you have the right matchup in favorable position to win, and make sure you're accurate with the ball, because Patrick Peterson can make plays when you think they're not there. So you just got to be careful of that aspect.
Yeah, and when we're talking about this, the run is going to be key. I don't care what anybody else says. The run is going to be key to the Bucs winning this game. Run the ball, punch them in the mouth, and let's see what they've got. Okay. I saw the running back for Detroit. I can't think of his name. I want to say Hassan. I'll think of his name in a minute. He did good. He really did good running the ball, and it opened up the play action. And I feel like that's the identity of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Really, I understand you've got these weapons and you've got these tight ends. Yeah, Amir Abdullah. Thank you, Joey. Amir Abdullah. And what you've got to do, man, you got to punch him in the mouth. That's what you have to do. And I think with the weapons that Jameis has, if you've got the running game rolling, then you can open up play action, and that's going to help you all day long. I don't care what their game plan is. If you're running the ball effectively, it's going to open up play action. And I mean, you're talking about you have to focus on specific. You have to focus on specific positions and not just players. So, that's very important right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of getting into, one of our followers on Twitter. He was asking Brian. He was asking about, what kind of game plan we're going to put up this week, especially after last year's, demolishing performance. I mean, as far as the Cardinals go, I mean, beating us 40-7. So he was just asking how, what Dirk Cutter is going to bring up this week. I think, we're kind of getting into that. I think we just have to get back to more of a balanced attack as far as running the football, being more. Give Jameis less options as far as where to go with the football, as far as throwing, and be more quicker with your decisions as far as short routes, slants. I want to see some slants, drags, comebacks, screens. I think, use those screens to Adam Humphries. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that play usually results. So halfback screens. Especially if they're going to play zone. I mean, just take what's there. There's going to be options underneath. So I would look for that. And I think, like you said, I think Doug Martin's going to have a bigger impact this game just because he's going to have his legs underneath him. He's going to be more, ready,
we're
game
talking
ready.
about Doug Martin. Do you feel like Doug Martin was on a snap count during the Patriots game?
I'm not sure of a snap count. I think he got fatigued. I mean, he's out for 4 months or out for a month, and it affected him. It's hard to come back and be game ready as far as football goes. You just haven't felt the the impact that you do when you get tackled. It's just you can't simulate that, so it's hard to be right for a full game up with him. But I expect him to get a bigger load this week, and I think the running backs as a whole, I think you got to use them all. I think same thing with Jacquizz Rodgers and even Charles Sims, and I want to see more of Peyton Barber. I think we got to run the ball with them, all of them, and use them in different ways.
Hey, and I'm telling you guys, I get sick of all the hate that Charles Sims is getting. Charles Sims is one tackle away from breaking a big one, and people are missing that point. What we saw in 2015 from Charles Sims, I expect to see that at some point this year. And there have been times where Charles Sims has the ball right on the tip of his hands and he misses the catch. Or Charles Sims, it's just an inaccurate pass. I'm telling you guys, Charles Sims can break that big play, and people need to keep that in mind when you're talking about him. And I promise you, once that happens, I mean, he's gonna take it to the house.
No, I agree with you. I think he's a guy that can just make things happen in space. But I think the Bucs need to do a good job of allowing him to create his own space. I think they need to let him get more opportunities catching the football. Also, get him out in more zone read running plays as far as allowing him to make that one cut and just let him go. But getting back to the game plan, I think you're right on with the tight ends. I think that's going to be a big emphasis. I think they have to get O.J. Howard more involved as far as the passing game goes. Try to get him, on one-on-ones and mismatches, because it's going to be there. I think he can take advantage of these linebackers. Again, very small. They're not overly, and I think you can take advantage of that with Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. But again, I think you just got to run some different route combinations. I think there's just too much of an emphasis on going deep all the time, and I think Jameis is kind of locked on to Deshaun a little bit too much, trying to get that chemistry going, trying to force it a little bit. And I think you just got to let that come naturally and just let everything flow and just go with the open guy. I mean, there's options on every guy's open. So I think Jameis just has to get back to going through and making the right route.
That's right. You basically going through your progressions as you mentioned earlier. And again, the one thing I love about Jameis Winston is he's cerebral. And, you don't see him doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I expect, my expectations of him are very high. I feel like Jameis Winston has looked at the game film from the last game, and he's not going to make those mistakes. And I expect more out of him. I really expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to run the ball more. And that's a key. I mean, again, I just have to keep coming back to that cerebral assassin. Go and B. Loggins. We're not talking about wrestling right now, but I get that. I get you. But again, I think that Tampa is in a really good position. This is a huge game. I know it doesn't seem like it, but this is a huge game going into the rest of the season. As it's an away game where you can come to Arizona and you're actually facing a team that waxed your ass last year, and trying to get a little bit of revenge, and just put you in the right path for the rest of the season. This is pretty much the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bye week because of that Thursday night game. They had a little bit more time off to get things ready. So this was as close to a bye week as Tampa's going to get. So from this point forward, Tampa's just got to be, whatever comes at them, next man up, next play up, next game up. They've got to be ready. So, again, this is an important game.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's time for this team to, go on. We'll definitely have the opportunity with these Cardinals, the Bills, Panthers, Saints, Jets, and Dolphins winnable. Schedule goes, but again, it's one game at a time. Next team up is the Arizona Cardinals, and but again, I think it just complicate things. I think we just have to get back to playing football and win the turnover battle. Take care of the football and really get back to that time of possession game where we're controlling the clock on offense and moving the ball with first downs and taking advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, you know what? Exactly, taking advantage of opportunities. I do want to take this opportunity, while we're talking about this, to talk about the offensive line. You wrote an article and please, folks, if you're not there, I don't care if you're a Bears fan, a Vikings fan, whatever, go to @realbuckstalk.com or realbuckstalk.com and check out some of the articles about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very well written articles, and I feel like you guys aren't getting enough love that you should be getting, because I've read some other articles, and you guys, I keep coming back to what you guys do. So you and Mark, Michael Pless, you and Mark are doing an awesome job, and you're just going to continue to grow. But to that point, I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is not getting enough love. And, I've said that, we said that in the beginning of the season. Everybody was talking about, oh, we need to get rid of Donovan Smith, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And we see what Donovan Smith is doing right now. And, we both agreed, hey, this guy's going to be all right. He's going to come around and do what he needs to do. And again, Real Bucks Talk was leading the charge on this. This is what I'm saying. And what we're seeing right now is how the offensive line is doing what they're needing to do. And there's not a lot of gelling needed here, because they're playing great. Or, and we can go back to before the draft. Everybody was talking about, oh, we need to do something with the offensive line. And Michael Pless, what did you say? let's go. You deserve credit for this. I'm going to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah,
because we both were on the same page. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much said, everyone just needs to relax. I think the personnel was there. Again, it starts with the center position. Moving Ali Marpet to center was the key to everything, just because it makes you a bigger, a stronger, faster offensive line up front. The problem was Joe Hawley. I think, as much as we love Joe Hawley as far as his demeanor and his energy on the field and how hard he plays, the guy was just too small. And when you have a guy that small, he gets taken advantage of. Times was just pushed back way too far. And that leaves your tackles to, suspect position as far as defensive ends coming around the corner.
Exactly.
And Jameis would end up getting sacked. So, again, the offensive line is doing a great job. And now you add in J.R. Sweezy, who they signed last year. He was unable to play, and now you put him at right guard, and he's absolutely destroying people on the field. I mean, absolutely destroying people in the run game. His pass protection has actually been better than what I thought it was going to be. He's actually doing a pretty good job as far as his pass protection.
And you know what? What's so funny, and I want to talk about this here, how nasty this guy is. It's contagious.
Yeah, right.
It's contagious what he's doing.
Right. And then the rest of the offensive line, I mean, to our tackles, I think Donovan Smith has played strong. I thought he had in that first game against the Bears, but I think the last couple of games he's really come on. Had a couple missed blocks here and there against the Patriots, but for the most part, he's been playing very well. And again, he's only in his third year, very young player. I think he's only 24 years old, so still very young and learning. So he's getting better with each game. I think our left guard, as far as the overall situation, I know they've been rotating that position with Evan Smith and Kevin Panfield. I think both have played pretty well. So I think, both are doing a pretty good job. Again, I think Kevin Panfield, I would like to see him be the full-time guy just because of the size and ability in the run game that he gives us to be able to clear holes is very impressive. So, but yeah, I mean, Sweezy has been playing outstanding, and DeMar Dotson has probably been our best offensive lineman. I mean, he's been outstanding as far as his pass protection. His run blocking has been very good. Run more to the right side because there is holes there consistently as far as the run game goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is just so exciting to talk about this because we were knee deep in the draft, and did you have an offensive lineman on your draft card? Because I didn't personally.
No, I mean we scouted a few guys as far as offensive line goes, but it wasn't very deep as far as other positions that we looked at. I think we had one guy that we really liked, and that's the center for the Minnesota Vikings, Pat F-Line or F-Line.
Yeah.
Starter. So I mean, it just shows you scouting can do, because pretty much all the guys that we've scouted so far have had success, which is good. But as far as offensive line goes, I don't think we were really looking at too many guys. I thought we had the personnel, and I think Jason Light and his staff felt the same. And right now it's paying off. I mean, the offensive line is taking off, with flying colors.
Yeah. Two Scoops just joined us here. He's talking about, Gene, do you like the amazing debut start of Justin Evans? And Auclair was great. I'll get back to Auclair in just a second, but Justin Evans, I've been talking about that earlier in the show. I did mention that he got that interception off of Tom Brady. He's playing very aggressive, and that kind of leads into something that I did want to ask you, Michael Pless, about Vernon Hargreaves. Mm-hmm. Does Vernon Hargreaves need to be more aggressive? What's going on with Vernon Hargreaves right now, in your opinion, based on what I'm hearing on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, Hargreaves is a sore subject for sure, just because the got the tool set, very, very dominant in the run game. I just think it's a confidence issue right now. He just doesn't seem comfortable to be more aggressive as far as his breaking on routes or playing more aggressive on his man for some reason. It seems like he's afraid to get beat deep, and he's making sure he doesn't. I don't understand why he's not being aggressive, because when he is playing press man, pretty good. He can do it well. So I like to see him be more aggressive as far as getting up on his target and making sure he's getting hands-on footballs. But again, it just takes time. I think he's just got to get that in his mind that, if I give up a big play, there's another play coming right after that, and he's just got to have that short-term memory loss. And
what's interesting, and what's interesting to me is Vernon Hargreaves came out of the SEC. And I'm thinking of some of the elite wide receivers that have come out of the SEC, like Amari Cooper. I know he's having a bad season this year, but previous, I'm just saying some of the wide receivers that he's gone up against. I feel like he's right there. He's got the tools. He just needs to put it all together. And folks, to me, and I've said this before on this show, you got 3 years, to me, in my opinion, as a rookie to get to where you need to be. You may have a first season, yeah, it's what it is. Second season, yeah, it's what it is. Third season, if you're still there, you're supposed to be able to adapt to the speed of the game. You're supposed to be able to adapt to the playbook, and you're supposed to be able to get in there and do what you need to do. He's in his second season. So me personally, I'm going to give him time to see what he does and see how he approaches the game. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about the defensive line. And if you're getting pressure on the quarterback, you're making things easier for your secondary. And unfortunately, what we're seeing, we're not seeing that right now. So I'm going to give him time. I'm going to say give the man time. And realistically, it is a 3-year process to know if you have a good player or a bust. I understand where some people are saying, "Oh, he's a bust. Let's move on." But at the end of the day, this guy was a first-round draft pick, and we kind of have to see what we've got with him. I thought he did a good job last year. New defensive coordinator, new system, and where he was trying to figure out what he needed to do. I feel like at the end of this season, we'll have a better idea of who Vernon Hargreaves is.
Right. No, absolutely. And one thing that, fans don't always remember is that he has Brent Grimes next to him on the other side, and opposing offenses aren't going to attack Brent Grimes. I mean, so Vernon Hargreaves is going to see a lot of targets thrown his way. And again, he's going up against, number one receivers pretty much every week. So it's tough. I mean, he's in a tough spot because you have Grimes on the other side, and he pretty much shuts down that half of the field, and opposing offenses are going to attack him and go after him. So again, if he can just learn to just be a little bit more aggressive, and I think it will come. I think it's just a mindset thing. Get that confidence back, get that swagger back, which he definitely has. I think it's there. I think he's close, but again, it's just mindset in his head that, hey, he's got to go after it and go get the football and go make plays.
Yeah, most definitely. So what he's doing right now, I'm good with. I'm not happy about sometimes some of the plays that get busted or whatever, but I know that I'm giving him another year and a half to figure out what he needs to do before I can say, okay, this guy's a bust, he's trash, or what a lot of people are saying. I've seen him make plays.
Yeah.
So I know that he has the physical tools to make plays. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of him putting it all together and making it happen. Now, a lot of things can happen between now and a year and a half from now, because we're talking about a draft class next year that's going to have some decent cornerbacks, and you never know. He could end up as a nickel. There's a lot of different things that can happen with him. But as I'm saying, all the experience he's getting right now, I'm just kind of have to kind of take that sit back and wait and see approach on what he's going to do. So, I'm right now, some plays he may mess up on, but I'm looking at the positives to, just see what he's going to be, at the end of this season.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, we talked about, how the Bucs kind of match up. We've kind of touched on the Bucs defense. I want to talk to you about the front four, or the front four of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you see them improving, or do you see inconsistency with that front four?
Yeah, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. I think they're really close. I think it's just right now it's a technique issue with their edge rushers right now. I think they're just getting too far outside instead of taking that direct approach. They're taking way too many steps as far as in their rush games. And they're winning. They're getting around the edge, but it's just they're missing the quarterback as far as they're overstepping in their pass rush, which is hurting them. I think Gerald McCoy, same thing. I think he's close. He's making plays as far as being disruptive, but again, it's just getting that consistent rush with everybody and getting everyone on the same page. And there's still too many guys running into each other. So I think they just need to get on that same page as far as communication. And that's really, really, really where it starts. So they got to communicate. They have to get guys knowing where they're going to be. If the edge is rushing inside, then the defensive tackle needs to know that, so he can either cover that hole or make a play to the left or whatever, left or right. So it's just making sure guys are going in the right spots and filling their gaps. But I think it's close. I think we saw improvement last week. They did hit Brady a lot. He even injured his shoulder. So.
When you think about where this defense is, remember last season, the games, the blown games like the Rams game, the Cardinals blowout, games like that where the defense looked sort of like they were in disarray. But as you got towards the back end, you started creeping towards the back end of the season, you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're coming together. Communication's better. They're all on the same page, and they're doing it. And I think that's what we're waiting to see. I mean, as Bucs fans, it's a fan show. I can say this. I feel like this is what Bucs fans are waiting to see, where everything comes together and Tampa starts rolling. And I hope it's against Arizona, because you know what? I'm wearing Bucs gear. Not that I don't already, but I promise you, I'll be wearing it with a little bit different swagger than these guys, these loudmouths that I had to deal with last year when Tampa got washed up real good.
No, yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think it's close. I think it starts with Noah Spence. I think he's got to start winning on the edge. I think that's going to free up Joe McCoy. And I would like to see Chris Baker a little bit more in pass rush situations. I think William Golson, same thing. Again, it's close. But, I mean, we're just going to have to see how it goes. Again, it starts with communication. And if they can get that on the same page, I think they'll have something. But back, that's definitely going to help their pass rush just because they're going to be able to do more with Devontae Bond, Kendall Beckwith coming around the edge. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Going forward.
you basically upgraded the linebacker core over a week's time. Mm-hmm. And you know what? These offensive coordinators, you guys got a plan for that. And I'm telling you what, Noah Spence, 9 sacks away from 10. So again, I'm telling you, this is definitely possible. He can have a breakout game this game, and I just expect more from him. And I think that we will get to see that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got the right matchup this week, so hopefully we can take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, and Larry Fitzgerald has been a buck killer of pass. But I feel like that Tampa's defense is going to step up to the challenge. TJ Ward, I expect big things from TJ Ward, coming off that hip injury, trying to get him 100% immersed in the defense. And, I think that's a good thing for him, coming in legs fresh. Levante David coming off injury, coming in legs fresh. Quan Alexander, a guy that he's been dying to hit somebody. He's been waiting for this, and I think we're going to see that as well. So this is going to be a good game. Carson Palmer is a statue. He's not a running quarterback. I do not expect him to get 15 yards a carry or whatever. I believe that Tampa will handle that. But again, it comes down to balanced play calling on offense and defense. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I think this game, again, I think this game starts with Jameis Winston. I think he's going to be the key. He's got to play smart and just take what's there. Again, I think they have to get into his mind. If the deep option is not open right away, then you got to hit your check downs because there's options down there. And same thing with Coach Cutter. I think at times he gets a little too aggressive. He tries to make things happen that are just not available at the present time. So I think you need to get back to, kind of being that ground and pound team, play action over the top and just be smart and try to mix it up, with your play calling and be also more simpler with your play calls and route combinations.
Yep, that's what it's going to take there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, one of our followers, Brian, he had another question. He was just, how do the Bucs improve their short yardage game? And I think it starts with that. I mean, again, it's just doing different combinations of their passing game as far as slants and screens.
Bro,
but also, in the run game.
The run opens up everything, though.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's the key right there. Just run the football, pretty much. Pound the rock.
You know what, guys? I want to give a shout out to the Buckaholics, who they're gonna be repping Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend. I can promise you there will be upwards of five, maybe 600 people here coming from the California area. We got people coming from Tampa to the Bucs game. We got people coming from Scotland to the Tampa Bay Bucs game here, and I'm really excited about everybody coming together to rock that old school creamsicle, Bucs jerseys and hats or whatever, and just kind of standing out from the rest of the crowd. So again, this is going to be exciting, and the Buckaholics are leading the charge on this. Again, whatever it takes to unite the fan base, because that's what we really need. If you're a Bucs fan, you're a Bucs fan. I don't care if you're a Buckaholic, alcoholic, stick figure, stick carrier, stick people, it doesn't matter. If you're a Bucs fan, let's all put it all together here because we all want the Bucs to win. And what I want to do now is kind of jump into the live chat. Let's see. Two Scoops was saying, Gene, honestly, this is Jameis's year. Everyone talks about his leadership, how he is a good leader, but he can't lead his team to the playoffs. You know what? If you consider the trash team that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had prior to Jason Light coming here, you went 2-14, and I understand people are saying that they tanked a lot of those games, but a lot of those games were winnable games. They just couldn't do it. And if you take that 2-14 team and you break it down, and you take any one of those players, with the exception of Gerald McCoy, Levante David, and Doug Martin, and try to start them on another team, it's not happening. It's not happening. None of those guys outside of the people that I mentioned are starters. So what Jason Light has done is flip this team. You've got a lot of people on this team that could go start somewhere else. Michael, I want you to kind of chime in on this as well.
No, I agree with your points. I think, but I mean, he's right as well. I think Jameis has to take that next step and be better as far as overall play. Now he's playing very well right now as far as statistics go, but again, it's just when those big throws come, he's got to make them happen. Right. There's opportunities, and when you have a chance to make big plays and put your team over the top and help them win, you got to be able to hit those. You got to be able to make them. That's what these elite quarterbacks do, and that's why these teams are in the playoffs every year, because those guys make those plays when they're available. So, but I think Jameis is on the right path. Again, we are the biggest Jameis supporters. We all love Jameis and what he's doing and what he's done for this team. And again, Jason Light has done a great job, like you said. He's brought in starters after year after year. Just look at the rookies that are producing this year, and Kendall Beckwith and Justin Evans. I mean, it just shows you what kind of talent evaluator he is, and how guys like us at Real Bucs Talk are pretty much wrong every year. So it's just he's doing a great job, and I think Jameis is just going to continue to get better because he's got the right people in place around him, which is what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody was asking me about the play calling, and I'm not going to say it's horrific. When you consider that the Bucs, what was the score? 19-14?
19-14, yeah.
19-14 against the New England Patriots. And kicker does his job. We're not even discussing this. That's a win. I'm not really tripping about any of that right now. It looks like, in Two Scoops, I understand what you're saying. Jason Light, this is his second year as a head coach. I feel like he's done a good job. I feel like, I'm sorry, Jason, goodness. Dirk Cutter has done a great job, in my opinion, only because you're not seeing repetitive mistakes. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I get what you're saying, the little things, but again, if they win this game, we're not talking about this. That's all I'm saying. I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, when you're learning from your mistakes, we're only 4 games in. The Bucs are 2-2 right now. There's a lot of football to be played. There's a lot of things to overcome. There's a lot of adjustments to be made. If you're having this conversation with me at the end of the season, I could give you a better answer on what I think. But where we are right now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh no, this is horrible play calling. Yeah, they didn't win. They didn't go out and win like they were supposed to. There were certain specialty players that didn't go out and do what they were supposed to. So, I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, let's save this for the end of the season, and then you can say, you know what, hey, maybe there was play calling here and here and here. I get that. But right now, we're not even into the middle of the season for the Tampa Bay Bucs. So let's save all that for the end of the season, and we can kind of get into that at that point. I will definitely have a show where I will, as we move forward, I'll be able to have you guys call in and see if, just get your opinion. Gene, do you think Cutter should start practicing tackling? No, these guys are professionals. And let me say this. These guys are professionals. They know what's required when it comes to tackling. And it's just a matter of execution. And again, let's this is too early in the season to be talking about this kind of stuff. Let's save this for the end of the season. Right now, this is a game that they lost. They could have won this game, and there are a lot of things that were missed, but there are a lot of opportunities. So let's save this for another time towards the end of the season. But anyway, you got Doug Martin back. You've got your secondary. You've got players that are coming back. So these could be difference makers. I'm sorry, I can't jump on that and just start talking about horrible play calling when the plays that he did call that they did execute on, they were able to score on. Mike, you want to jump in here as well?
No, I'll just go back. I'll go back to the point. There's plays to be made. Play calls are there to, you got to execute them. And there's options open. And if your quarterback's not hitting them, it's hard to be successful on offense. There's options there. The plays are just not being made. And that's what happened last week. Just too many missed opportunities. And the play calling, I thought, was good. I thought there was the right plays, but it's up to the players to go make them. It's not on the coach per se.
Yeah, you're right. You just got to go out and make these plays. Yeah. Again, we can have this conversation at the end of the season, and we'll be able to talk about this. But here we are. Wow, it's been over an hour. We're talking football. Michael Pless, what are your keys to victory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, keys to victory, I think it starts with protecting the football. I think that's going to be critical. Making sure we're being smart and not turning it over. I think Jameis has to have a good game as far as just being smart and taking what's there. I preached that so many times on the show. I think it's just take what options are open and just be smart. And again, the rock, please. Just run the ball. This offensive line is built to run. They're creating holes. Advantage of a small front seven for the Cardinals, and just really enforce your will. So I would like to see Dirk Cutter get back to a balanced game plan. And then defensively, I think it just comes down to not allowing the big play. Just keep the Cardinals in front of you. Try to squeeze the field and really boggle them down inside the red zone and hold them to 3 points. I think that's what we have to do, and try to get after Carson Palmer. Try to hit him as many times as you can.
Yeah, Carson Palmer is a statue. I think he can be gotten to. I'm sorry. Just watching him play against Detroit, I really feel like Tampa has a better defense than Detroit does, and we'll get to see that. We'll get to see that put to the test here later on in the season. But at the end of the day, this is a winnable game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they just have to go out and execute, and that's what I expect from them. So, what is your next article? What is your next article coming up as far as Real Bucs Talk? What do you guys have going on?
Yeah, I pretty much wrapped up what our thoughts are as far as the Patriots game was. I think I'm going to get more into Arizona Cardinals as far as what they present, and we talked about it on tonight's show, but I'm going to get more detail as far as what they bring as far as the defense goes defensively with their blitz packages and how they like to play man. We have a lot of tape up as far as on our Twitter account, so make sure you follow us at Real Bucs Talk. So there's some good clips of just how the Eagles attack the Cardinals defense using their tight ends, which was really effective, and how Carson Palmer is still accurate with pressure in his face. So it's going to be a tough task, but I think we're up for the challenge. But again, just breaking more stuff about the Cardinals, and that's what we have upcoming as of now.
Yeah, I'm excited about this game. I will be able to go to this game. Unfortunately, last year I was in the UK and so I didn't get to attend the game. But I think that you're going to see a better. You're going to see something different. You're going to see different results this year as opposed to last year. I can guarantee you that that defensive coordinator cannot game plan for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like he did last year. I feel like you've got healthy players. Your defense is healthy. Your offense is healthy. So they just need to go out and execute like we know they can. And, they can pull out a win in this game. Right now, I know people are talking about, this game is not that big. This game is important as we go towards the rest of the season because last week from the Thursday night game to this game, that was our bye week. And that's as close to a bye week as Tampa's going to get. So they need to go out and get these wins as much as they can. This is an important game.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's time for this team to make a run, and I think, we have to win this game this week. We got to get to 3-2. Again, the Cardinals don't want to go to 2-4, so it's important for them as well. But we have to find a way to keep up with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, they're 4-1. They're playing tomorrow against the Eagles. So go Eagles! Hopefully they win. But we have to we have to get going here. I think it's really on the offense. I mean, I think the offense has to find a way to put up points. I mean, if this defense is holding teams under 20, we pretty much have to win that. Anytime the defense keeps an offense under 20, we have to find a way to win because this offense is just too good to not be scoring at least 25 a game, and that's what the expectation is, and that's what they have to be because the talent level is just too good for us to be wasting games, and that's what I thought we did last week, and hopefully we can get that right mindset and get on a winning streak going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to start somewhere. Why not start in Arizona? And you know what? Right. I'm telling you right now, this game it feels good. This is a game that Jameis Winston has to go out and win. The team goes as Jameis Winston goes. And Jameis Winston, again, he needs to take those next steps to being that guy, that guy that's going to lead you to the playoffs, lead you deep into the playoffs. He can't be that guy that only wins you a few games and puts up big numbers. That's not going to do you anything. Wins and losses is what really matters in the NFL. And as much as I love Jameis Winston has to go out there and do that. He has to go out there and win these games. You know what? If he, like what he did when he won that national championship, put this team on his shoulder and direct them to that game. The weapons are there, the tools are there, the coaching is there. It's just up to him to get it done. And again, don't forget about Doug Martin. The run is important. Let's get that done as well. I'm going to get your final thoughts, and I'll give you my final thoughts.
I mean, let's just go out there and get a win. I think this team is finally healthy, which is good. I think defensively, you're going to see a more aggressive approach. Backers back in there. I think they're going to feel more comfortable as far as being able to be more versatile with their play calling. I think with Kendall Beckwith as the starting middle linebacker, I think they were a little shy as far as what they could call. They wanted to put too much on him. So I think with the guys back, I think you're going to see a more aggressive defense, and it's going to be fun to watch because there's a lot of talent on this defense, and it's going to be exciting. And again, it starts with Jameis Winston again. I think him and Dirk Cutter just have to be balanced in their play calling and really display a smart approach as far as taking what's there. But yeah, I mean, that's all I have. And then as far as Real Bucs talk, just follow us on Twitter. We're constantly putting up videos. We're going to have more going into this weekend, and content will be flowing at realbuckstalk.com. I'll have more on the Cardinals as far as what they present and what kind of mismatches we can take advantage of. Probably have a feature on the tight ends because I think we have to get them involved more. Cameron Brate to have at least 10 targets this week. So, that's all I have. And it was a fun show. And go Bucs. That's
right. And, folks, I want to take this moment to thank everybody that was in the chat. Two Scoops, B. Loggins, Tyler Taylor, everybody. And I know I'm missing a bunch of names here. But everybody that Sean Castillo, everybody that just participated, Corey Fleming, 2 Scoops, I probably dropped his name, Eric Moreno, tall FL guy, all you guys, Joey Mandel he's a Bears fan. He's in here listening to Bucs, us talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You guys are all appreciated. I don't want you to think you're not. And, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to check us out, because you got to remember, time is something you never get back. And I do appreciate you taking time to check us out. So you guys are what motivate me to do what I do, motivate me to try to get this guy on the show. And I appreciate you, Michael Pless, as well. I mean, you are a huge part of Buck What You Heard. You've helped Buck What You Heard go to this level when we were down here. So I appreciate you just as much.
Thank you.
So that's pretty much it for us. Guys, check this out. We are going to get eventually, I'm going to get this show on iTunes so everybody can check it out. But hey, Tyler, thank you so much. But I'm eventually getting ready to get this on iTunes. I'm really close. I know I've been threatening to do this for weeks, and I finally got off my lazy butt and decided to try to make this work. So keep checking us out, and I'll get you more information once I can get us up on iTunes and some of the other stuff. And thank you so much. And everybody have a great show. Great week. Go Bucks. If you're going to be at the game and you see me wearing the Buck What You Heard shirt, come up and say what's up. I will be looking for you. Buckaholics throwing a huge party on Saturday, and they're throwing an even bigger tailgate that's going to rival what the Dirty Birds are going to do. The Desert Dirty Birds, I guess, not the Atlanta Dirty 25-point loser Dirty Birds are going to do, but it's going to be big. So be sure to check us out. If you see me, say what's up. But anyway, that's it for us. Fire them cannons. That's right. We gonna pluck them birds and win this game. And that's it for me and Michael Pless at Buck What You Heard. Have a good one.